Welcome back, everyone. Toy Shiz here, and we have a brand new toy line to look at, and it comes courtesy of my friends over at Nacelle Toys. This is the entire first wave of their brand new Cowboys of Moo Mesa action figure line. Everyone remembers the Cowboys of Moo Mesa from the 90s, right? Goes with Biker Mice from Mars and Street Sharks and all the other ripoff Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle toy lines from those days, but this is going to be fun to check out. So first and foremost, we have Marshal Moo Montana. It does have very eye-catching packaging. You got the Wild West Cowboys of Moo Mesa at the top, along with the newer Nacelle Toys logo. Marshal Moo Montana, he's a cowboy. There's going to be a lot of cow puns in here, and it's got some nice artwork on the box. It's reminiscent in a way of the NECA Toys cartoon TMNT boxes, and don't you worry, yes, we have plenty of sarsaparilla mugs included with this first wave, but it has a really nice window box packaging. You can see the figure, along with a mixture of an orangey pink motif, which is very eye-catching with these huge boxes. So on the back side, you get to see all three characters that make up Wave 1, along with a clip-out bio card. You can screen grab this if you want to read up on old Marshall, and each character will have their various codes of the West. This is a Nacelle-verse character, which means it goes with RoboForce and the Great Garloo, and of course Biker Mice and everything in between. So they're definitely building the Nacelle-verse out. And here's the barcode. These are slated to eventually hit store shelves, but if you're interested in these after this video, I'll have links down the description below, and you can pick them up for yourself. Now, next up we have Cowlamity Kate. She's a cowgirl, right? I told you there's going to be a lot of cow puns in this. But again, same type of box. You get to see everything on the back side. And of course, the cutout cowboy file right here. Here's the barcode for Cowlamity Kate. And then you have the big old bad himself, Sherrif Terrorbull. But I'll tell you right now, this is nowhere near a terrible figure. See, I can come up with my own cow puns, but there you go. He's a cow bully. Yes, he has his sarsaparilla, and he's got some nice artwork as well. So, same exact situation. You get to see all the characters. You can cut out the bio cards. Curious to see if people still do that. Will you be cutting out these bio cards if you get these figures, and have you cut them out recently with recent offerings? I do. I know, I'm insane. Here's the barcode for Terrorbull. So, this is going to be an absolute blast. Sit back, relax, grab yourself a nice hot cup of coffee. This is a look at the entire first wave of the brand new Wild West Cowboys of Moo Mesa by Nacelle Toys. And right before we get started, I just want to say a quick thank you to everyone who continues to watch my YouTube vids. And if you haven't already, please do consider subscribing. Why? Well, we have old toys, new toys, daily news updates. Guarantee you'll find something here that you like. And so with all that being said, here is our first figure out of the packaging. And it is, of course, the Sherrif. And he looks pretty cool. And I like that for the price, which is around 35 bucks for each of these, you get a lot of accessories, including multiple hands. So you get 3 pairs of hands total, open hands, item holding hands, and trigger finger hands. Then he comes with a pair of handcuffs. It has a real chain. You simply pop the hands off and you can handcuff your figure if you like. And just like the Biker Mice from Mars, each coming with a hot dog, each of the Cowboys of Moo Mesa come with a mug of sarsaparilla or beer, whatever you want it to be. But he does come with his harmonica, which I'm going to be honest with you, I learned that from the bio on the back of the box. Now, these are actually really cool. These are effect pieces for his guns. They shoot out stars or badges, that kind of thing, but more on that in just a few. But he does come with an alternate weapon in the form of a rifle. So it has really ornate design, really cool overall. It has that kind of Playmates Toys TMNT feel, but a more realistic sense, but it's just overall a very cool looking gun. And not to worry, if you were wondering, yes, he can definitely hold this weapon and look pretty stylish and slick doing so. He also comes with an alternate head portrait. If I'm being honest, and you'll soon see the other one as well, I'm not a huge fan of these head portraits. I think that they could have been done just a little bit better. They're a little bit off. This one seemingly is the better of the two, but to be honest, they just need a little bit more oomph overall in comparison to the other two figures, which are excellent. But he does have great paint overall, nice sculpt, very animation accurate, which I look for. He's pinless. He's got some heft to him, not quite as heavy as Terrorbull, as you'll soon see. But yes, overall, I think they've done a great job. He even has a removable cowboy hat, which fits his head pretty well. There is some paint scuffage with the hats because they're packaged in that way, but once you get the hats on their heads, they stay pretty darn good. And he's got plenty of mobility in the neck, and the heads are easy to swap. That's another key detail. Now, with the articulation, arms go all the way up, double jointed elbows, and he's got some wrist, again, with some ornate tassels on the gloves. The hands will spin, rotate, and work with you when you want to utilize his guns. But again, everything works, everything's fluid, nothing's loose, which that's a definite plus. He does have an upper diaphragm, which only moves so far. It basically crunches and goes back more than it moves side to side, just FYI. And mine looks to have a little bit of a paint rupture or a mark just because of how he was packaged, but you can kind of see it in certain lights. Hopefully yours doesn't have that. He also has a waist, which works pretty well. He will kick out. It does kick off to the side, but then you're going to have to deal with the holsters, and that's something you always have to deal with Western characters or characters that have guns on the sides of their hips, that kind of thing. He does have double-jointed knees. The knees pretty much across the line. They're not the most attractive knees, we'll just say. They do the trick. Go easy on the knees. Mine were a little bit stuck. Maybe heat them up. And then you got the feet, which go up so high and then rotate a little bit. But one of the main features that I really like and work really well is the gun holster with his awesome yellow guns. It's got a little star right there. And he does hold them beautifully. So the gloves, the hands, all the attachments, everything works with utilizing their main weaponry. And the bonus part is these blast effects that fit into each of the guns. And that, to me, really brings the character to life. Now, like I said, I'm not a huge fan of the head portraits, but this one works in the totality of what you're trying to achieve here in the pose. And yeah, you can get him a running, guns blazing. So overall, despite my nitpicks with the head portraits, I would say it's a great first addition to the Cowboys of Moo Mesa. From Sarsaparilla Mug to Harmonica, he's pretty darn cool. Next up, we have Cowlamity Kate. She comes with one heck of a Gatling gun, but she also has quite a few accessories herself, which again, at the $35 price point, that's a lot easier pill to swallow than other companies with their $55 and up ones. But she does come with some extra hands. She also gets her own pair of handcuffs. And I just thought that this was an interesting accessory for each character, because even though these are more of a collector's type line, if you were a little kid playing with these, it'd be fun to handcuff your figures and then have the villains holding them for hostage. Then she comes with her own mug of sarsaparilla, and I like the foam spilling over. She comes with her shotgun, which is a gun mixed with a trumpet. Very Playmates-ish. Great paint. Overall, a fantastic design. And much like the Marshal, yes, with the accompanying hands, she does hold her shotgun pretty darn well. She's also a fan of bladed weapons, so you get a nice cutlass sword. This, again, nicely sculpted, pretty decently painted. Kind of gets sloppy with the yellow right there with the tassel, but I like that she comes with a already tied up rope. It's got a nice wash to it. So from sword to rope, even though there's really no place to attach it to her belt, she can hold each one nicely. So I definitely dig that. But what I do appreciate is the fact that they gave you a rope that's already looked like she's rustling up a cowpoke. And I like the idea of that, to where she can hold it, but it's pretty rigid. It's not gummy, but it's also not bendy wire, which is a good thing from time to time, because in this sense, again, with the hands posing her out, it does look like she's about to lasso up old Terrorbull. Now, here's the thing that old Toy Shiz did, because he just thought that they were removable. And technically they are, but you're not really supposed to remove these, but they go in and out at your leisure. So don't pull these out. These are the grapnels for her revolver, or grapnel guns. She kind of has like a Batman thing going on. They're very teeny tiny, don't lose them. You also get an alternate head portrait for her. The eyes, the nose, the face, the paint, the hair, everything looks pretty solid. Yes, the head portraits do swap easy peasy, but one of the main primary accessories that she comes with is this humongous Gatling gun, this Western piece. And it's basically its own Build-A-Figure. You put the wheels on, you put the Gatling gun on. It's very simplistic. There's not a whole heck of a lot to it. Now, something I would have appreciated for them to include would have been a blast effect for the front of the cannon and or the ability to turn this crank here just for giggles, right? That would have been kind of cool. But I would have gladly taken a blast effect. That way you could have it posed out on your shelf and she's just mowing everybody down or taking down Tom Cruise like in The Last Samurai. But yes, this is an excellent giant accessory, especially for the price point. The only thing that moves on it basically are the wheels, so at least those spin, but don't spin. They're not going to be able to move it around. You do it yourself. But yeah, largely it's a pretty cool piece. And I like that, again, with the hands that she comes with, everything makes sense. Everything works. This is her Gatling gun. This is from the cartoon/comic. So yeah, it is definitely awesome. And then you have the figure. Oh yeah, we got to get to the figure. What I like about these figures is that they're very on model. They're very cartoonified. They stand out much like the NECA Toys cartoon TMNT line. The paint is overall simplistic, but beautifully done, so there's really no slop whatsoever. Like I said with the guns, now you probably should leave in the grapnels and not pull them out like I did, but the guns are painted nicely, and yes, you can put the grapnels back in at your leisure, but I kind of like that she has more of a pistol look. But yes, if you're wondering, you can put her grapnel guns in the holsters with it attached or unattached, whatever you'd prefer. I prefer it without, but maybe you would just prefer not to pull them out in general like I did. But I like that she holds them well. She looks slick doing so. She's going to have double jointed elbows and wrists. Nothing is loose on the arms, so that's a plus. But when we get to the legs, we got something to talk about because she does have an upper diaphragm, which gives her a little bit mobility, a little bit of a crunch, a waist. The head portrait does move, but you're going to have to deal with the long hair in the back as with most female figures. But the hat does come off, and despite it being a white hat, doesn't have any paint rub, so that's a plus. And as I said with the hair, yes, when you go to move the head around, it's going to knock into the shoulders. Kind of moves more downwards. The waist will move pretty nicely. She will kick up. Again, you're going to have to deal with the holsters kicking off to the side. But the problem that I found with this figure is that while this leg totally moves, and she has boots and ankle rock, and they'll move up and down and yada yada. No peg holes on the bottom, though. This leg, however, especially below the knee with the boot, it's a lot looser than I would like for a brand new figure. So this leg totally works. This one is loose, and yes, it can hinder her sometimes when you go to stand her. She is the most rickety one. You barely nudge her, she's going to go toppling over. But it does depend on how you pose her out, just FYI. The head's swappable, easy peasy. The hat goes on both the head portraits, and I like that it actually adheres to the figure's head. That's pretty darn cool without a peg or anything keeping it on. The other nice part for these figures is that because they're Western characters and they deal with guns, sometimes with certain companies, trigger fingers can not work very well. I'm happy to say that this works, but yeah, you're going to have to deal with a little bit of a loose leg. Hopefully yours doesn't have it, but again, in totality, it's a pretty solid looking Calamity Kate, which brings us to the third and final figure, Sherrif Terrorbull. I love a good pun, especially when dealing with anthropomorphic animals. So he's a giant red figure. He has giant accessories. He's kind of my favorite one out of the group. Now, he will come with a gloved hand and a ungloved hand, so that's reflective in the blue and the red plastic. And one thing I do like about his hands is that they're gummy, but they work with you when you want to utilize all of the accessories and the weapons, so you're not forcing anything and you don't have to heat anything up. That's a plus. He comes with his giant rifle, which that looks pretty cool. Very ornate. Got some gold accents, green, brown. I do wish this one had a blast effect because it would have just made it that much cooler. Then he comes with his own pair of handcuffs. Again, I find that quite funny. You get a sarsaparilla mug, and each of the characters comes with their handcuffs. And front or back, however you'd like to cuff old Terrorbull, I think the Marshal will definitely be cheersing his sarsaparilla to that. Which, of course, Terrorbull does come with his own mug of sarsaparilla, so he can choose to clink with the Marshal or not. But again, nice paint overall. The froth going over the side of the mug. It's the same across all three mugs, but they do look good. Now, you do get a stick of dynamite, although this kind of resembles candy cane. For all future dynamite toy producers, give us the option of putting a little blast effect on the tip so that it looks like he's throwing a lit piece of dynamite. I would really appreciate that. Now, he also comes with some bull whips because he's a terrible bull and he just likes a whipping. But these are not bendy wire, they're just plastic pieces, which kind of reminds me of using the ropes at the gym. But they're actually hard plastic, and they work really well with the hands, which gives him a very cool, stylish pose going on with the whips as if they're free-flowing. You also get his guns. These are very cool because they do come with a smoke effect, which you can plug in and out of the gun. So it's very clear plastic for the smoke, and the gun itself, again, very cartoonified, but it totally works. And the fact that you can plug in the smoke, that is very cool in and of itself. But some bullets, much like the Marshal has, that would have been very cool as well. You do get an extra head portrait. This is one of the best head portraits, not only out of the MOO MESA set so far, but just for this year of all these action figures. I love when companies go that extra mile of giving us a really interesting head portrait, and this is it, because this one right here, while he's got his mad bull face, but you need a little more life, a little bit more chutzpah. I think that one definitely has it. But like I said, this figure is enormous. It's like a murder weapon. For 35 bucks, you get this giant figure. The hat does stay on relatively a little bit. This one, not so much as the others. But as you can clearly see, he's got the brown hat. It form fits to his horns. But unfortunately on mine, because it comes packaged this way, I got a little paint rub on the horns. That's where the hat goes over it, but I would prefer that it does not have the paint rub, so maybe we can work on that in Nacelle. Along with a super deluxe figure, you got some super deluxe paint going on. He's got a vest, he's got a star for his badge, a green vest. His arms, they'll go all the way out. Didn't have to heat anything up on this guy. Very fluid, but very chunky at the same time. Bicep, double jointed elbows, and to be honest, much like the knees, as you'll soon see. I think they've done a better job from their last outing with Biker Mice. I think these are a little bit more fluid. They're all pinless. The wrists will rock and move and spin. He has a little bit of an ab crunch, waist, enough mobility. And I also like that as part of his design, he has this wooden piece that you would find with bulls and everything else on the farm. I like those little design elements. Now on the backside, not much going on. You got the green vest, the belt, his pants slash that is his fur skin kind of remains to be seen, that kind of deal for this figure. Plenty of weapon storage, although you have to get the arms going up for it to even be able to put the guns in the holsters. But once you do that, no problemos. The legs are nice and stiff, nothing you had to heat up. Again, may not be the best looking articulation, but it definitely works in the terms of articulating a anthropomorphic bull. You got the feet, no peg holes on the bottom. And yeah, just overall, he's just a really cool looking big figure and plenty of head rotation, even though he's kind of got that hunch thing going on and go up and down and left and right. The head swap really easy. And this is my favorite head portrait because he just looks like an SOB, especially when he has his guns ablazing, because see, that's where some blast effects for his guns really would have gone that extra mile. But I like that you get the aftermath, at least with the smoke effects. That is pretty cool. So yeah, this one is definitely my fave of the wave, but just the overall looks, the sarsaparilla, all the accessories, everything makes sense. Everything works. The paint is great. The articulation for a big chunky figure is there. So I'm impressed. Very well done. Now, if you're wondering the scale for these Moo MESA figures, well, they're going to be around 7 inches. Now, it will fluctuate between each character, but Yeah, they'll largely go with McFarlane, but be a little bit too tall to fit with Marvel Legends. This, of course, being the Nacelle-verse, though, these will fit pretty darn well with the biker mice from Mars. So you can see how all these characters are starting to come together. They're very bright, very vibrant, very toyetic in the sense of, yeah, these are something fun on your toy shelf. Now, for me personally, I'm not a huge fan of the Cowboys of Moo Mesa, so this video has largely just been me sitting back, relaxing, and enjoying these toys for what they are. But I am very much aware that they have crossed over with the Ninja Turtles several times. And much like the TMNT, they even had their own Archie Comics line back in the day as well. But if you were to match these up with the NECA toys, let's say the cartoon slash Archie Turtles, or even the Mirage, of which you could definitely say these would work. But in terms of the style of the Mirage Turtles, I don't think these fit. Whereas if you have the Archie slash the cartoon TMNT, even though they may be on the little bit of a smaller side, yeah, the cartoon definitely works really well. Now, in terms of the 2003 Turtles, the Cowboys of Moo Mesa actually, we'll say, guest starred on the fast forward parts of that iteration, even though they were kind of a hologram computer thing. But they were there, so technically, if you have the Super 7 Turtles, yeah, those might go a little bit better. They're a little bit taller than the NECA ones, even though they are shorter than these Moo Mesas, but I kind of like how these go together just in terms of their cartoon styles. So that's going to wrap it up for my early look at the brand new first wave of the Nacelle Toys Cowboys of Moo Mesa action figure line. There are a couple discrepancies. I don't like the loose leg for Calamity Kate, but the paint is good overall. The accessories make sense. You get a lot in the box, and they're overall fun toys that match the cartoon slash comics of what we all knew back in the day. So yeah, I would definitely recommend these if you're into this sort of thing. And they'll go nicely with your turtles or any other anthropomorphic animals on your toy shelves. But as always, I'm curious to know what you guys think. Thank you again to Nacelle Toys for sending these out. And until the next one, I will leave you guys with that. Adios.